House of the Dragon, Season 2, Episode 7, The Red Sowing. The pacing has improved, the story's gotten more complicated, and a tease to some potential change in the story and people's allegiances. Let's talk about it. All right, guys, Brent here back for Geek Variants. Cover all things Marvel, DC, Lord of the Rings, anime, gaming, Star Wars, and more. And friendly reminder, we have a 1,000 subscriber giveaway, which we'll have more details about coming up on our live stream of the next episode. So be tuned for that. Will, your thoughts on this episode?
This episode was again setting up pieces for the finale. Again, you always expect something big to happen in episode 9 of Game of Thrones. So episode 7 essentially is our 9 because again it's only 8 episodes. Next season will, however, be 10 episodes. So keep a lookout for that. But the big thing that we got here is we see dragons and we got to get dragons figured out. That's the big play. What's going to happen with these dragons? Where are they going to go? And if anybody knows me, I've been screaming about dragons the entire time because this House of the Dragon, I want to see more dragons. So, episode kicks off. We got, everybody's trying to have the meeting about, hey, who are you? Why are you on this dragon? Because they're looking at Adam because he just got a dragon and they don't know how it happened. Who are you? What are you doing? Simple. He's aiming for something higher. He got chosen. He feels the higher calling. He's ready to serve. Cool. End the story. And we already know who his daddy is running around with Corliss. So pretty self-explanatory. The King's Guard, who messed up when it came to getting the queen out and causing problems, they got sent to the wall. They're done with that. And those definitely look like the friends of Aegon that he had promoted, that he was drinking with when them kids got taken out. So they're gone.
Well deserved firing.
Yeah, so I'm not worried about them at all. And we see Lara scheming. So this is just the start of the episode. These things are going on like within the first 5 minutes of the episode. So like it's wild from jump as far as how they're setting up stuff.
They definitely worked through an escalated time on this episode. I felt like there was urgency with the episode, which is a fantastic change to some of the other episodes who felt like they had all the time in the world to elaborate slowly on this story. And it's like, look, let's get to the pace here. Let's pick things up. Let's get right to that punch. And with this punch, we also had coming up after those series of events, we had Daemon, who finally got someone to be in charge of the Riverlands. Like, look, good, nice of you to show up. Anyway, let's go get me my army so I can go become king, and let's hurry this up. Only to get strong-armed by a 10/12-year-old, because his age is very, very indiscriminate, to be assertive. And this kid literally puts him through the ringer. He's like, hey, our houses, we're all about loyalty. I made my father or grandfather, can't remember, made a promise to your grandfather, to Jaehaerys. It was like, hey, we will serve this line. We honor Jaehaerys and we honor Viserys. We honor this line. Viserys named Rhaenyra queen. That's how we're going to do things. Even though I don't like you, I don't like your guts, I don't like the way you talk. He basically went in on him the way that the last rapper went in on Drake. He went straight up, I don't like the way you walk, talk, act, any of this stuff. He wasn't feeling it in any certain manner. And so his first act as head of the Riverlands is, this guy has been doing atrocities in your name. Denounce him now and make him suffer the consequences. So, of course, Daemon, in his quest for higher power, boom, off with your head, on to the next. Like nothing even happens, only for him to stumble once more upon Paddy Constantine having this whole dream board. Is like, hey, do you really want this thing? Do you really want to be king? Are you sure you want this? Because you saw what it did to me. I'm missing half my face. My eyeball fell out. Like, I'm literally falling apart. You had to carry me up the steps. You remember this sure and well. What happens when you sit on the Iron Throne? Is this really what you want? We had to see Daemon kind of go through that, as well as the fact now we saw a little bit more about Alan and Corliss. Alan straight up is like, look, I am of the sea, by the sea, and for the sea. All that other stuff about flying around and claiming a dragon, not me, Chief. I want nothing to do with it. So I'm sure he earned huge props in Corliss's mind. Corliss had a really, really nice episode, but I think there's still some other things for you to talk about. How did we feel about Jace in this episode?
Well, Jace is upset. Jace is upset because Rhaenyra is trying to call upon all the bastard Targaryens. There's like four score of them. It's worth about scores 20, so it's worth like 80 people roughly that are bastard Targaryens and that came from all different types of brothels and other kind of inconspicuous meetups. So that being said, it's like we've already got one who's got to have Targaryen blood in him somewhere that has claimed a dragon. There must be more. We need to get more dragon riders. It's the only way we're going to win this war. So she proceeds to call upon all the bastards, get them to the place, and basically, hey, let's start with Vermithor. We can
Oh,
sit there and see what's up and see what's going on. And while she's gathering all these people up, we've got Allison decides to go on a nature vacation
a spiritual
because
journey.
she can't deal with the stress of what's going on and trying to figure that stuff out. Jace's still having those troubles with this, but he stands there. He's there with was it Bela, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're standing by to watch all these people go and attempt to woo Vagar, not Vagar, sorry, Vermithor, freaking in hopes of being able to fight Vagar. Because again, Vermithor is the only one that's big enough to kind of tussle with, Vagar at this point in time. So we kind of see the lead up to it. You've got Hugo and Ulf, who are two of the primary ones, which we've seen several times over. I was calling them out. We've seen them several times over. They're gonna have some type of importance here. And basically throughout this thing, when Vermithor lays down the hammer and stuff like that, he scorches tons of them. Like he's having
Score.
snacks. All right. He don't care. And then we get two new dragon riders out of this. One for Vermithor, which Hugo stands up to Vermithor and is just like, yo, I'm trying to protect this girl, but I'm here. And he was determined to make a name for himself. He talked to his wife about it. He's like, we got to do something. We can't just be here living in squalor. We got to figure it out. We got to do something. And he's like, I'm gonna die trying, basically. And Ulf was just in his head. His buddies are riding up like, hey, you were always talking about this kind of stuff, and now here's your chance. You got to go. He's like, but I got injuries. So, oh, come on, man, you can do it. And they hyped him up and got him drinking. So he ended up running scared when all the stuff went happen, and he ended up just happened to bump into Silverwing further back into the cave after he got knocked off. And
Thank goodness Silverwing is one of the more tamer, docile, and as the book quoted, people friendly dragon. Because otherwise, that could have been really short and sweet.
That would have been it. So that, but that's what set up everything for him to be on there. And because he was able to bond with her, she took him on a ride over Amon's freaking castle, over the forces, over the just like, hey yo, everybody screaming, there's a dragon out here. So what does Amon do? He's going running. He's got to go figure it out. Like, yo, what's going on? Vagar, where you at? Hop on, get to riding. And when he's riding, he ends up seeing that epic thumbnail that freaking we have on there about 3 dragons ready to go. And this man turned back. It was like, we ain't ready for this smoke right now. And goes
He
back
literally
to
told his dragon, Vagar, no, we are leaving. Vagar, no.
Vagar wanted all the smoke. He didn't care. He was
And
ready for it.
Amon is someone who is ballsier than most characters. So the fact that he was able to at least analyze the situation, be like, look, I don't want this smoke. We shouldn't be doing this. Now's not the time. Correct call. Definitely a good decision. And something this episode we shouldn't gloss over that I kind of did. Reyna, we need to keep an eye on what's going on with her. She is going out in the fields in the Vale and continuing finding burnt sheep. Sheep Stealer is a dragon that we know is a wild dragon who's out there roaming the lands. There's a character missing who in the books is a very prominent character by the name of Nettles who ultimately claims Sheep Stealer. There's been no signs, no inclinations, not even like a slight whiff that we may be even getting Nettles. Who's to say we can't see her in the 3rd season? But at this time, I'm going to say she's out. And I think Reyna is going to fold in parts of Nettles' story to kind of continue on as far as at least the dragon claiming But also, I'm going to go on a limb here and say Alice Rivers will be taking on more of the role of the person that woos Damon away from the path that he has been on, which we know he has already been on a bad path. So anything pushing him further down that direction, not good for him at any moment in time. I'm just going to call it now. I think in the finale next week, Reyna is going to not only meet up with Sheep Stealer, but work out a series of accommodations to woo this dragon back in, and she's going to make her family very, very proud because she's tried bonding with every dragon they had down there in that pit, and it was a hard no from everybody. And as we saw with this episode, turns out it's definitely way more about the dragon than it is about the individual, except for Hugh's case, because he literally stood up to the biggest, baddest dog down there in that yard, and he asserted himself as the dragon rider for that particular character. But will these characters continue to stay loyal to Rhaenyra? That is something we will have to discuss moving forward. Will, any further thoughts about this episode? You are muted.
I'm banking on Sheep Stealer. I'm banking all this stuff going down. I think it's more or less that when she sets up for this is what's also going to fulfill that promise to the Vale of having a dragon. Because that's something they were complaining about. She was like, I got dragons for you, yeah, but they're baby dragons. So if she gets a hold of Sheep Stealer, not only can she protect the Vale, because that's where she is and stuff right now, but she can also join in combat, period, to help House Black with everything that they need to do. So I'm all for it. Hopefully it doesn't take too long into the next episode because it's the finale. I'm hoping that the finale runs a little bit longer. I'm hoping it runs about an hour and a half because I'm expecting us to get some good stuff and probably some fighting in there. But I don't think the battle, like the war's already started, but the actual battles, I don't think they're really gonna, kind of kick into high gear until the third season, which we're pretty sure is just gonna where all heck's gonna break loose. So
because we're confirmed for an hour and 12 minutes for next week's episode. So stay tuned for that. Be sure to hit that lovely red subscribe button. Greatly helps the channel out. We have a 1,000 subscriber giveaway. All the details will be announced in the next week's live stream of House of the Dragons. So be tuned in for all that and more as we talk about all the great stuff involving Westeros, the politics, and everyone's favorite danger puppies known as dragons we have in these crazy, crazy lands. I've been Brent with the man, the myth, the marvel. We'll see you in the next one.